What's up, y'all? It's your boy Evan here. Welcome to the Cartoon Block. And today I'm going to show you my process for loosely sketching Captain America on a post-it note using inks and watercolors. But real quick, got a question for you. Who would win in a fight? Batman or Cap? Drop your answers in the comments below. Now let's get started.
So starting out, I simply am using this 3x5" post-it note. You can use any brand, it doesn't matter. And I'm using my Micron inking pen. I like to use the very thin Micron. I think this one is the 0.5 or the 03, I don't know. But just whatever, it doesn't matter what size you use as long as it's a size that is conducive to your style of drawing and things like that. So you don't even have to bother with like something that's super thick or super thin. Just use something that wherever you are comfortable with, you can go ahead and lightly sketch out the drawing that you want. And I'm using a photo of my toys that I have. So I have my 12-inch Captain America. It's a very cheap figure that I got from like Target, the department store. It's like a couple of years old, but I like the head sculpt on it. I like how the wrinkles are on his face and the detail in the mask. I think this toy was about like $12 or something like that. So nothing expensive. Sometimes when I'm out and about and I'll walk down the toy aisle. Yes, a grown 50-year-old man walking down the toy aisle. Yes, I know it's crazy. I just lie to people and tell them that I'm shopping for my kids or grandkids, But just use whatever toy you want. And I also have the head sculpt too that I purchased from an artist years ago who creates actual toy head sculpts for toy manufacturers. And I use it because like for times like right now in this area, I'm putting in shading and shadow on his face. I'm not familiar with like where always the shadows will lie depending on where the light source is. So I'm kind of envisioning the light source is above his head, and that's how I kind of like place my toys. And like maybe I might hold them up to the window so daylight could come in, right next to them, and see how the light bounces off, and then where shadows cast on the face. Like right here on the side of his head, it might be a very light shadow, not a very hard shadow. But under his eyebrow, that might be a dark shadow or something like that. So you always want to use reference. Reference is highly important when you're sketching characters, especially characters who you aren't familiar with. But also, it's just good practice as an artist to use reference so your drawings look more believable and it's not just something that you made up from your imagination. You can make up things from your imagination, but always keep in mind that you want it to be based in reality. You want people to think that it's real and that this thing could exist in real life. So the more you ground it in reality with the shadows, then you're golden. And next, I'm using watercolor. Right here, I have the Winsor Newton Cotman set, and I'll see if I can drop a link to where I got these from online on Amazon down in the description below. But I'm using just a simple watercolor set. You don't have to use this. And I have a light puddle of water making a light ink wash, so I'm using cerulean blue. You can use any blue, it doesn't really matter. And I'm putting the color in where all the shadow areas are. And in this watercolor set, you can use any brush that's included with the set. I do have some specific brushes that I use, but for me, watercolor I just kind of discovered it recently, and it's just so relaxing. It's so therapeutic. How many of you guys out there find art to be relaxing for you? I know some art projects I have to work on and commissions, but when I can sit back and do some art for fun, it's really cool. And I like just putting the flesh tones on here. Right now I'm using the burnt sienna. That gives me the more earthy tones for the skin color. And I'm putting the color just in the shaded areas. Wherever the light is the brightest on his face, I want to keep that area the blank and not put color there. So for example, I'm putting the shadows down here on his face. And I'm basically copying wherever I put my cross hatching and my ink shading on his face here. And just keeping in mind that you don't want to just color everything in full. You know, we're not in first grade anymore, and we don't just fill everything in. Now we have the creative artistic license to be a little bit more adventurous with our line art and with our paints and things like that. So I'm kind of just taking my time, and once again I'm looking at my toys and where the shadows fall on the face. So I'm just putting the color in wherever the shadows are. And we're almost going to be wrapping this up. But before we jump out of here, I want to be sure to remind you to click that like button for me, and don't forget to subscribe, and let me know once again who could win in a fight, Batman or Captain America. I'll see you next time.
And for all my patrons out there, you can download the high-res version of this drawing and see my full real-time process video for drawing and painting Captain America over on my Patreon right now. When you join my Patreon, you get weekly access to my real-time process videos, high-res digital downloads of my drawings, and a monthly live drawing tutorial. So click the link in the description right now. Testing 1 2 3. This is only a test to make sure that this thing is recording, because last time I didn't have the microphone hooked up.